Welcome, everybody. Today is May the 23rd. My name is Jonathan Jones. It is my pleasure, my privilege to be your host and moderator for the evening. Happy to see you all here. And the reason we have meetings like this is because we feel it is incumbent upon us to get the word out that something exists, that the majority of the world, at least in my area, the majority of people simply know nothing about. And how and why it's not spreading like wildfire, I still do not really know. I don't get it. I have to be honest with you. It doesn't make sense to me that it's just not going completely nuclear explosive right now. But I strongly believe that this is a information that everyone needs to have access to, because there are things happening with our bodies that we have no control over. Some things we have control over. A lot of things we have control over. We have control over whether or not we pull into, something that looks like it's got golden arches, or a king with a crown on his head, or, some little girl with, what do you call those things? Ponytails, fast food. We have choices over that. But even when we're making the best choices, there are things happening to us that we have absolutely no control over, and it's having an effect on our body. It has an effect on our health. I had a conversation with one woman just about a week ago now, and she simply believed that the grains of sand simply run out around age 70. So she was simply preparing for the grains of sand to run out. That's all it is to it. And there was no reason to do anything else other than let the grains of sand run out. That's how she felt. Well, I'm here to tell you that that you have a couple of options that literally could slow down the rate of dissension of those grains of sand. I agree that these days there may be only so many grains of sand in that hourglass, and sooner or later they will run out. But you can tighten up that little hole there, the one that the grains of sand is going through. You can tighten that up and slow it down so the sand doesn't run through there quite so fast, if you only knew how. And I believe that we can share that information with you as to exactly how you can do that. So be advised, though, that the FDA has not evaluated any of the statements that I'm making. I'm not going by a script, by the way. No one's told me what to say. No one has presented me with information to share with you. I'm a researcher. In fact, I'm the research director for the Healthcare Support Association of America. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So in our quest to disseminate information, I set up this nonprofit organization, and we have information that support free consultation is donated to us by scientists and doctors, naturopathic, medical doctors, oncologists, who are experts in their field, but they also believe strongly that alternatives can make a difference in how you feel. They strongly believe that alternatives can make a difference in how conventional methodology works. They strongly believe that success can be improved with the right nutrition. So that's the reason why I do this. Well, the real driving force was the helplessness that I felt when I saw my mother die. So that was terrible, and I don't wish that on anybody. That feeling of helplessness, and my goal was to, if it was within my power, to make it so that anyone who did not want to feel that helplessness could avoid it. And now I think you can. I'm not making any claims that any of the products that we talk about will treat or cure any disease. Engage Global does not make any claims that the products that we discuss will treat or cure any disease. Only the federal government can declare a natural substance to be a treatment or cure for disease. So we're not saying that at all. You're going to hear testimonials. I'm about to share one with you right now. And testimonials are purely anecdotal. What happens to one person may or may not happen to you. So please keep that in mind. These stories But what you're hearing is people sharing their story uncoerced and of their own volition, and they're just sharing what they believe to be truthful. So you decide whether what you hear has the ring of truth to it or not. Okay, so here's Ann Davenport sharing her story. So let's see what Ann's got to say. By the way, we shared this past Sunday with Dr. Prasad, and every time Dr. Prasad hears one of these stories, especially one that he's never heard before, it's always just like any one of us, one of those mind-boggling moments, and just as well for him as it is for you and I. So, raising your hand. All right, so somehow miraculously, I'm actually able to see you raising your hand on the screen. So now, Ann Davenport, you raising your hand, and somehow miraculously, I'm actually able to see you raising your hand on the screen. So let's go ahead.
I'm just so anxious to tell my story.
Well, you know what? We are anxious to hear your story. And you know how anxious we are?
Yeah.
You know how anxious? I'm getting ready to get off the screen because we want to hear your story. Okay?
Well, I started with Micro Daily, just the regular one, because it was less expensive. And I was taking that for quite a while. And all of my numbers went down. I'm diabetic, heart problems, all of the high blood pressure, had all of it. And my numbers went down. My A1C went from about 9 down to 7.1. And just lately, I was feeling all right, but like I need a little boost. So I added the eye boost because I was having problems with my eyes, injections, and I no longer have those because I started the eye boost. But I went up to EMF, and that's when I saw a significant improvement. My last labs were just tremendous. The doctor could not believe it. They wanted to know what was I doing to get my numbers down. All my labs were normal, and no protein in urine, kidney function, liver function, pancreas, everything was normal. A1C was 6.1, and my cholesterol overall was 140. So I thought that was so tremendous that I went down in those numbers, and I thought I'd never do it. My blood pressure was not really out of range, but it could be better. And now I'm just registering mostly between 119 to 125 with my blood pressure. So I thought that was so significant, and I'm taking the EMF only and the eye boost. But they were overjoyed. I gave the doctor's office, the heart doctor and my primary doctor. They all wanted to know. I went to the heart doctor last week, and he wanted to know how was I doing this, because I had surgery, heart, about 8 years ago, and I have not had any more problems. So he wanted to know why I was changing doctors wanted to come. And I told him I needed a cardiologist in the area to just check every year, for a yearly checkup. So he said, well, you're doing fine. And the surgery was successful, all of it, in 2014, I think. And I've been doing good ever since. But the Micro Daily is what really got me back. Then I had the COVID back in 2021. And I got over it, but what really brought me back through that, I got off of the Micro Daily back a while back, but really what brought me back to it again was that I didn't have any energy. Even though I was doing fine, I didn't have the energy. And then when I went on Micro Daily, that improved my health overall. So I feel great now. I just started exercising. The doctor, of course, eating the proper diet and losing weight is going to be a key as well. But overall, I think I'm on the right track, and I'll always recommend Micro Daily, and I'll be taking it forever.
That is absolutely wonderful story, and I'm so glad that we got your name right, first of all. So we had the record straight on this. Mm-hmm. But that is amazing that you saw the results. Would you mind just telling us again what affected you? What change did you see in your blood pressure?
Well, my blood pressure was never really, really high. I would be like 145, a little above sometimes, if I ate things, but I think a lot of it was my diet. I did good with my diet with salt. And it was 135, 145. Sometimes it could go a little higher. But now I'm like 119 to 125, 130 maybe.
You know that's the
But
blood pressure of a 20-year-old, right?
yeah, the doctor said too. They were amazed at my labs because I don't have protein. I've been diabetic for over 30 years, and I don't have any effect of the diabetes so
No
far.
effects of the diabetes so far. And you saw your
so that's why I'm so.
Yeah, you saw your A1C
Yeah,
go from
go down. My A1C is
what is it?
it's 6.1 now.
It's
The last time
6.1.
I had it back in December.
And what's your fasting sugar levels?
Maybe about 94 to 125.
And I think anybody who's on here now that's diabetic, I think you automatically know that when you have fasting sugar levels at that level, that is unbelievable. That's amazing. That's
unbelievable.
Yeah. And what kind of fasting sugar levels were you seeing before, Ann?
Well, I was up high because when I first started really paying attention to it, because I had diabetes, I took a pill and I thought I was fine because I was very busy, active, and didn't have any effect. And it would stay pretty much, it would be slightly elevated through the years. But I got where I couldn't control it. And it was like, I think when I first started really paying attention to it to the doctor, it was like 10 point something.
Your A1C was 10 point something. So what was your fasting sugar levels running around that time?
155, 160, 170. You know, okay. Occasionally it would be lower, but it was up and down, yo-yoing, yeah.
Okay. So, but your A1C was at 10, so you were in full-blown diabetes at that point.
Yes.
Wow.
And so I got it down to about 8, and I could never move from 8 until I started the micro daily, and that's when I saw a significant change in it. It was, I was shocked to see it that low.
Wow.
But it went down 6.1.
Now your doctor, and the doctors want to know what you're doing to have such a huge effect like that.
Micro daily and Dr. Facade, all that. I gave them all of it. The heart doctor and my primary doctor, they wanted to know. I even I brought the bottle so they could look at the bottle. The PA said, I'm going to have to do some research on this. She got it and wrote everything down and asked me all these questions about it. And she said, I got to look into this at the heart doctor.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, congratulations. And okay. And that's a beautiful thing. Thank you very much for being willing to share your story.
Maybe I'll live to be 80, 85.
Yeah, no. I think if you keep doing what you're doing, you can add quite a few more decades to your life. But the main thing is you're adding quality to your life. So you're adding quality to your years. See, not just extending life, you're adding years to your life to your years.
I had one more thing. They put me. I went to the hospital to take a test because I did an X-ray on my legs because I was having a problem with my left toe. It was nothing. They didn't know what it was. You know, it was nothing wrong. They kept taking X-rays and whatever. So I went to have this test done for my blood flow in the arteries. So I went and they said, you know, just nothing to be concerned about the first time. When I went back the second time, there was nothing. They couldn't find, and it was normal. Everything was normal in the blood flow, in the arteries and everything. Now that was what they really triggered me, that I would be on microdaily for life because I just knew I'm going to start having limb problems and cutting on stuff. And so the toe went away, got better and everything. So I don't have any problem with that. But that was the main reason that I would stay on it. I said, you know, I'm going to have to lose weight and cut food because I got to get this every month.
Okay, so Ann says that that micro daily replaces her groceries. She's gonna have to cut back on food if she have to, but she's never going to stop taking taking micro daily. Now, just want to point out a couple things that what she said. She said that she's been a diabetic for 30 years. She said the first thing she noticed was her fasting sugar levels had normalized. So she'd be around 115, 120, 125 in the morning, which is pretty good, for a diabetic. And again, 30 years as a diabetic. Blood pressure had gone down to 120. She didn't say what the lower number was, the diastolic, but she said 120 when she was going 140, 145, 150. And after going through all this about her doctors being amazed at her labs, and the doctor saying, "What are you doing? What did you do to trigger this improvement?" Because they could see her history, they could see her record, and if they've been taking care of her for some time, any doctor knows that once you start down a certain path, it only ends one way. They know this. That's the way it goes. That's just life. She was already starting to have problems with her toe. And she went into the, oh, by the way, I got one more thing I want to say. My toe was having some problems. It wasn't pain, but it just wasn't right. And they kept taking x-ray after x-ray. They couldn't find anything wrong. And then finally they did a test on her circulation and found that, well, there's something there, but it's nothing to be concerned about. Let's keep watching it. Now, keep that in mind now. I'm come back to that. Let's keep watching that statement, okay? But she had a procedure on her artery, carotid artery on the left side. They cleared it up because it was starting to get thickening and calcifying. Doctor had planned to come back and have her come back to do the right side at a later date. That was the plan, to do the right side at a later date. When they went back to do the right side at a later date, there was no problem. It was all clear. The next time they checked the circulation for her left toe, it was all clear. Everything improved. And she said the whole circulation issue is what caused her to conclude, I will have to keep taking this stuff for life. I will never stop taking micro daily. And I would encourage everyone here to think about that. None of us is any different. I'm 11 years behind her. I think there's some on this meeting right now that are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ahead of her, maybe 20 years ahead of her right now. So the timeline is what it is. And if we continue, the timeline will go the same. And we'll start experiencing the ravages of aging. It's going to happen. But we can decide what that ride is like. Good health is now a choice. Feeling better is now a choice. Now, again, testimonies are purely anecdotal. What happens to one person may or may not happen to you. We all don't know the clinical circumstances surrounding what Ann had in her life. She didn't mention anything about whether or not she had started jogging or doing yoga or some other kind of exercise. She didn't say any of that. We don't know if there was some other pharmaceutical anything that was involved. All we know is what she told us. We don't know the clinical circumstances around her. But I guarantee you can relate to one or two of the things that she said. I know you can. I mean, I don't have diabetes, but I know pain in my right toe. I know what that pain is like. I used to know what it was like. I used to know what it was like to have pain in my left knee. And we've been moving, by the way. We had the historic flooding in Fort Lauderdale, and I thought I was not affected by it. But turns out our storage unit, we had all of our stuff in storage for about the past 2 years. And I thought we weren't affected by it, but turns out the entire storage facility was under about 3 inches of water. And again, I didn't think anything in my unit was affected, but they decided to shut everything down, cancel all the leases, and everybody had to move out. While moving out, I'm finding out a lot of things. I'm finding out my entire wardrobe, all my suits, all my good clothes, all ruined. So they were all got soaking wet. A lot of our furniture was ruined. A couple generators ruined, and just the list on and on and on. The reason I'm telling you this is because guess who was bending down on that knee that used to feel bad once upon a time? Because I was using that same hand truck that I was using about 4 years ago, and it felt like someone had jabbed an ice pick in my knee. No more. I'm down on my knees. I'm picking up boxes. I'm loading up a truck, putting stuff in storage because we're moving into our final place this coming Friday. So everything's out of storage now. Now over into the new place. But again, aging, but I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it anymore like I used to as it was starting to happen, because I've learned now that I had to increase the amount of micronutrients going into my body. I know that now. And I'm highly recommending that everybody exercise. So if let's say you can't get a treadmill and get 7,000 steps in, I'm going to challenge you to do this. Instead of parking as close as you possibly can to Walmart or whatever store you go to, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to get on my hands and knees and beg you, if you want me to, park at the farthest end of the parking lot, please, and walk into the store. Park as far away as you can and walk into the store. Start getting those steps in. Get more steps. If you can walk around the block in your house a couple times every day, start doing that. Just start doing that, because there's now studies that have been done that show that a diabetic smoker has a lower death rate, mortality, than a person who does not exercise. You understand that? That means being sedentary and not exercising, we have a higher death rate than the diabetic smoker. So exercise lowers mortality 70%. They say if we walk just 7,000 steps a day, that's about 3.5 miles. Now, some people can't get 3.5 miles in a day, and I'm not asking you to do that. Certainly don't want you to drop dead in a heart attack trying to do 3.5 miles right away. When I started, I was out of breath going to the end of the block. That's about 4 years ago, because I was sitting behind my computer all the time. I was not active at all. But that study got me active. That got me up off my chair. I'll tell you that right now. And then I could go further and further. After about a few days, I could get around the block. After a week or two, I could go around that block 2 or 3 times. I was getting around there faster and faster. After a while, I was doing 2 miles, 3.5 miles, 4 miles, 7,000 steps on a treadmill like that, with the incline up, nice and high, getting stronger and stronger cardio, getting better and better. It happens gradually. But if you want to decrease your mortality, increase your chances of living longer 70% just by getting in those steps. Okay. So that's one thing. That's one thing. And that don't cost you anything. You just got to get a little bit motivated. What will give you the energy to want to do it will be adding micronutrients to your diet. So that will help. What will cut down the pain of trying to get those steps in, that knee, that toe, that back, that neck, those shoulder issues and all that, is getting in more micronutrients. See, all of that is reducing what's called oxidative stress. So I'm going to take some of your questions here in just a minute, because I know that there's a few questions in. And curious as to any observations, anything that you guys thought of Ann Davenport's story. I see a couple comments that came up in the chat, and I'm fully agreement. It's one of the most mind-boggling stories ever. And Dr. Prasad just said, he always says he predicted it could happen, but it always amazes him when he hears stories of it actually happening. And imagine a gentleman of his caliber that was able to make something come to fruition like this product that every one of us now has access to. And it really is just kind of amazing. But you think about the origin of this product. We're not talking about a medicine here. We're not talking about a drug. Please keep that in mind. We're talking about something that was originally developed strictly for the military. That's what it was. This had nothing to do with some vitamin company deciding that they wanted to make a vitamin that was going to be good for humanity and help everybody to live longer and better. It has nothing to do with the medical and scientific community deciding that the general public needed better, because
People don't own it.
there's no scientists that
Yeah, a couple days ago.
there's no scientists, there's no agency in the United States government, no agency in the United States, period, that had that level of interest in improving the quality of life for seniors. That was not the goal. So please keep that in mind. That was not the goal. The goal was strictly to improve the quality of life for soldiers on the battlefield. That's what the government wanted. The government's objective was they wanted to formulate a product that could be added as a nutritional supplement for people in the armed forces who were being subjected to very toxic, harsh environment, eating very toxic, non-healthy foods. Because does anybody know what the food is that back in the day that the military took to the Pacific area and somehow became a staple? And in fact, it has changed the entire culture of the Hawaiian diet. Anybody know what that food is? Somebody just unmute and give us a guess. What is the food that the military took to the Pacific and is now a common staple food in Hawaii?
My guess is Spam.
Spam. Thank you, Joyce. Now, see, I don't know about anybody else, but I went to Hawaii. Joanne and I went for our 25th anniversary. That was 10 years ago. And I'd never been to Hawaii before. And I thought, oh, wow, I'm going to get some really exotic food. This is going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to this. And the delicacy over there is Spam.
Wow.
It's a delicacy. They love the stuff. They put pineapple on it. They make it up all kinds of ways, all their dishes. One of the biggest deals in their dish is Spam. Look at the label one day, okay? You just Google that. I could not, I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. That was considered a big deal over there. But I'm saying all that not to pick on Hawaii. And if you happen to love Spam, I'm not picking on you there either. It's your choice, okay? That's just your call. And so forgive me if it sounds like I'm being hard on somebody's diet of choice. However, what I am trying to say, that's what the armed forces got access to. Spam was created to be meat in a can that could last forever. Meat in a can, if there was a nuclear bomb drop, that you could still eat Spam. It's still there. So the preservatives will make it last forever. And it's not much different today. They have what they call MREs, right? Meals ready to eat. And again, I'm not commenting on, whether or not it's right or wrong, good or bad, but the government wanted to make sure that the soldiers on the battlefield had access to some kind of a supplement that could improve their health while they were in a most toxic, harsh environment on planet Earth. And this is what it looked like. It's called MMF. I just found my, I found my pack. We were going through storage and I found my original package. I meant to take it out of that box and put it right here, but maybe I'll show it to you in a little bit. But there's the packet right there that was originally produced for the military. It could fit right there in the side of their pants, the army fatigues. That's where it was designed to fit right there in that pocket. So the soldiers could just take 2 capsules in the morning and 2 capsules in the evening. So it was very easy. It was just a very simple process for them. There was no reflective material on there to give away the location. It had to be very, very quiet. So very specially designed and very specially packaged, all to make sure that they experience optimal health. That was what the plan was. Look at this paragraph right here on this brochure, okay? Not just to protect, but also to sustain our troops. The U.S. military asked Dr. Kedar Prasad, the world's foremost expert on micronutrient and supplementation, to develop a supplement that could provide a singular daily source of nutritional defense and nourishment for U.S. troops. That was the objective. It had nothing to do with you and me, but it started in 2001. Then they did all the safety tests. Part of the safety test is right here, folks. You know, I know you want to sit here and read the whole thing, but you know, I've only allocated 45 minutes for this and even less. But those safety tests was 9 months of safety testing with the U.S. Military Internal Review Board. During that time period, Dr. Prasad had to prove that his supplement didn't contraindicate with any known pharmaceuticals. Are you wondering why? Any of the soldiers could have been on some kind of a medication. Obviously, they're younger people. They're in their 20s and their 30s, right? So it's less likely that they're on medication, but what if they are on some kind of medication? They wanted guarantees that this supplement would not contraindicate with any known pharmaceutical drug, anything. And Dr. Prasad proved it. There's no known contraindication. That's a big deal for you and me. Now, some people, they want to run to the doctor and ask the doctor to be sure, is this okay? Is this okay? And a lot of doctors will sometimes, and again, this is not to discredit doctors, without looking at something, they will simply say, no, this is not good for you. It'll interfere with my treatment. Now, why would a doctor say that? Now, that's a question for you. I'm asking you questions now instead of you asking me questions. Why would a doctor say to somebody, don't take that, it'll interfere with my treatment, without looking at it? Why? Anyone.
Big Pharma is their boss, and they don't want to miss out on the revenue of writing prescriptions.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. A little bit of an opinion in there, but not far from truth, because the truth of the matter is much of the curriculum is influenced by Big Pharma. They fund most of the major medical schools. Their funding is what supports many of the medical schools. They fund most research that's out there. And the doctors simply don't have time to keep up with the latest anything. Just don't do it. So it's easier for them to just tell you, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane and we're good. Because if you get out of your lane, see, the next step in your progression, the next step in your evolution is more meds, more procedures. You're in the system. And just real story now. This is real life experience I'm going to share with you right now. I was giving a lecture to a group of doctors. And after it was over with, I was telling them all about how glutathione is amazing and what it does for the body and how it helps the body and the immune system ameliorate free radicals and oxidative stress. After it was over with, one of the doctors approached me. One of them. I thought that every one of them would have been looking, how do I buy this stuff? Give me the correct spelling. This particular product was in the physician's desk reference, everything. This man comes up to me. He says, let me ask you a question, young man. Why would I give my patient something that I can make $250 on instead of putting them in a system where I can make $250,000 on them? Now, why would I do that? I'll never forget those words as long as I am alive. I wish I could just thrown up on his shoes, because to me, the Hippocratic Oath bound him to find something that would relieve any level of suffering of his patients. But that's what that man said to me. Never forget it. Why would I do that, young man? It's probably about 15 years ago. So I guess to him, I was a young man. So wrap your mind around that. Okay. You just wrap your mind around that. Some people have the opinion that we humans are a commodity. That's what some people have, the opinion. We're a commodity. Not much different than beef or pork. That may sound pretty silly and condescending, and I don't mean it to be that. I'm just telling you what some people's opinion is, that we're no more than a commodity. But the story continued. It was just a matter of time before the United States government approved Dr. Prasad's formula. $24 million was invested. The US Congress ponied up $12.5 million of that. And look at this, 7 patents were awarded. One of those patents includes the words treatment of diabetes mellitus. I can tell you, I'm not saying that microdaily is a treatment for diabetes, but I'm telling you that one of these patents has the words treatment for diabetes in it. That's not too bad, huh? Well, it was around, 2016, I believe, when Jeff Ashby and Helen Ashby came to my house in Fort Lauderdale. They were in the area, and there was a client. I still don't know the connection between that Jeff and Helen and this original client. Her name was Irene. We had been collaborating on some things. In fact, she exposed me to an environmental control product that I believe saved my wife's life, because Joanna was allergic to everything. We couldn't solve the problem. I'm running her back and forth to the emergency room and doing all kinds of tests of her. She just couldn't breathe. And they could find no reason why. She gets to the emergency room and everything is fine. She tried to lay down and go back to sleep again. She's gasping for air. I wake up in the morning and my wife has been sitting up vertical and struggling to breathe all night long. You know, and it was a nightmare. And it was Irene that exposed me to this spray that rendered everything in her environment completely innocuous. The first time I sprayed it, like the formulator told me to spray it, she slept through the night. The second night, she slept through the night. The third night, I forgot to spray it. She coughed for 2 hours. The fourth night, she sprayed. She wouldn't trust me no more with that job. And so it was because she exposed me to that product. That's the only reason I talked to Jeff and Helen, to be quite honest with you, because I had products that I thought were really good. I was connected to a scientist that came up with something that I'm not even going to talk about it, but just phenomenal. And so I wanted no conversations about some vitamin. I didn't care what they called it. But she said to me, please, you have to talk to them. This is a product that used to only be available to the military, and now it's available to the public. And I just remember that she's the one that knocked that product out of the park. And out of respect for her and out of deference to her, because I believe it saved Joanna's life, I said, okay, fine, send them over. I got 20 minutes. You just make sure you tell them I got 20 minutes now. And I mean, at the door, they're leaving in 19. I deadbolt locked the door and took the key out and held them hostage for 2 hours. I could not believe what I was hearing, especially that thing about that patent. That was the one that got me, was that patent. The stuff about Prasad, I didn't know one way or the other until I sent him his information to Dr. Nacuzzi. Dr. Nacuzzi lost his mind. Dr. Nacuzzi went off about this Nobel Peace Prize thing. Remember the Nobel Peace Prize nominating committee? He nearly lost his mind over that. He says, get me in front of this man. I must talk to him. And I had to hunt down where Prasad was going to be and when he was going to be the closest to me and Nacuzzi. Flew Nacuzzi down to Fort Lauderdale and drove him up to Atlanta so he could have a conversation with Dr. Prasad. It was game over from there. Everything they were saying was in the stratosphere over my head, but I recorded it. I wonder if I still got that recording. But they were speaking geek stuff, geek and science stuff like crazy, but all the way back from Atlanta back to Fort Lauderdale, the koozie just burned my ear off about how brilliant this man is. And we had to tell folks about this product. It was just pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. So this man right here is the guy who's behind this whole thing. And that's what really is the game changer for this company. And because David Nemelka could see what it took me a minute to see, he reached in his pocket and bought out the company, took over Engage Global, and now he's the sole decision maker. The president is Robin, but the CEO and owner is David Nemelka. And this is the product. This is what we have access to now. The world's most scientifically validated supplement. It's no longer in little brown packets. It's in a little green bottle like this. And these are the ingredients. And if you believe that those are just the same thing that's in your Centrum, the same thing that's in your Flintstone vitamin, the same thing that you're buying from any other store on Amazon or anywhere else, if you believe that just because those names look the same, that it's the same thing you're already doing, you have heard nothing today. And you need to go back and listen to the recording again. And in fact, there's a whole bunch of recordings that you need to listen to because you missed the whole point. I'm going to tell you about just one of them that blows me away is this vitamin E succinate. First of all, I've been around the nutrition world for 35 years, and I didn't know that there was more than one kind of vitamin E. Least of all, a succinate. I didn't know. But turns out vitamin E succinate just so happens to be cytotoxic to cancer cells. Oh, by the way, seriously, if you're going to be taking a vitamin E, you want just a vitamin E, one that's good for your skin, or would you like one that, oh, by the way, happens to be killing some cancer cells while it's all up in your body? Yeah, that's right. I want the one that's going to do some work. And it's doing a little thing here called activating NERF2 also. There's 4 different components in here that activate NERF2. And we'll leave that for another discussion. But this activating NERF2 thing, ooh, you better believe that's a big, fat, hairy deal right there. But the last thing that really overwhelmingly impresses me is this N-acetylcysteine, because it raises glutathione levels. And glutathione is your body's master antioxidant. And it makes all other antioxidants work better. It makes everything work right. Inflammation, oxidative stress is ameliorated. But that N-acetylcysteine and raising glutathione by itself is not enough. It's everything else, all in the right combination, all in the right quantity, all in the right form. That's what makes this different. This is what sets us apart. And that's for real. That's not just a tagline. It really does make a difference. But you can get a copy of this brochure yourself from whoever invited you to this discussion, and they will help you to understand the difference between all of the different products and why they are of value to you. This is one of my personal favorites. Now, I take 2 of those in the morning, and if I don't take 2 of them before meetings like this, I'm seeing cross-eyed. But it does make things pop and click. So here's the one that got Jeff and Helen held hostage, kidnapped. That's the patent right there. They got them kidnapped. 19 minutes. I want them at the door. No. I deadbolt that lock and took the key out. You're not going here till you. I was kind of rude. I said, no, Jeff, I'm sorry. I'm sure the rest of your presentation is interesting and I'm sure it's valuable. But we can end this right now. Tell me about this. Are you telling me that a United States patent was issued with the words treatment for diabetes in the title? And I couldn't get off of that because remember, it was diabetes and the complications of diabetes, so-called, that killed my mother. And now there was something that could stick it to big pharma. That's the way I felt. I felt like if I could get this stuff into as many diabetics' mouth as possible, this is that immune system kicker in her that nurse in intensive care said she was looking for. They didn't have it because it was still held up at the military. In fact, that was 2001, 2002. They hadn't even gotten it out of animal studies yet. At the time my mother was dying, they were just barely in animal studies. Hadn't even gone to human trials yet. But we have it now. We have it now. And look at this real quick before we wrap up our discussion. Those are organs that belong to two different bunny rabbits. These little rabbits right here, they went on a field trip to the NASA Space Center in Houston, Texas. And they fed them good now, so don't be all upset. The rabbits ate good. But one of them had the food that's missing from food. One of them ate regular food, and the other one had the food that's missing from food. And you might have noticed in the title here that it says it was a rabbit. There's another word after that word rabbit. I'm trying to erase that. You see that one? Radiation. So you don't want the word radiation connected to your name. But that's what happened. And not just rabbit radiation, it was rabbit radiation internal organ protection study. If somebody's doing a study on you and it involves radiation in your internal organs, something getting fried. But they both had lethal doses of radiation. And don't just excuse me, don't mind me. I'm making fun of these rabbits. But they both got lethal doses of radiation. But one of them got food that was missing from food in addition to his good diet. Have a guess which one? If you said bunny number 2, then you were right, because those are lung tissues. This tissue over here looks more like a liver. That's how fried it is. But this one over here, his tissue was protected. They both got slammed with lethal doses of radiation, folks. And look at how his organs turned out. That should be sending you a message, because every one of us is being slammed with lethal doses of radiation every single day right now. You know, we got cell phones, we got these computers and 5G technologies all around us. We are all being exposed to massive amounts of radiation. If you don't hear nothing else out of this entire presentation and don't ask any more questions at all, then you should be taking it for no other reason than to protect your internal organs like bunny number 2. Even if nothing else is of interest to you. Even if nothing else is of interest to you. So get back to the person who invited you to this discussion, and they will help you set up a wholesale account so that you can get access to these amazing products. You heard what Ann Davenport said happened to her, and you can see if it can make a difference for you. You can see if it would matter any at all in your life. The number of stories that we have are extensive. Extensive. We have hundreds and hundreds of people telling stories about their life and their health with different issues where they claim that they're feeling better because they got micronutrients added to their diet. So, and it's not very expensive, by the way. The original formula is only $60. The methylated formula is only $70, and the advanced EMF formula is only $80. For a month's supply. And the brain boost is only what, 40 or 50 bucks? $40. The CBD, I think, is incredible because you want to get a good night's sleep. You get yourself one capsule of that, boy. And if you have trouble with anxiety throughout the day, because right now life is stressful, you can take 1 or 2 of those in the morning, take 2 of them at night, you're going to sleep. You will get restful sleep. You'll hit REM, and you'll dream, and you'll remember your dreams. And the collagen, because we're aging, we're losing collagen. Collagen represents, what did Dr. Prasad say? 1/3 of the protein in our whole body is made up of collagen. There's 28 different types of collagen. 80% of the collagen is type 1 and type 3. And that's what our product is, type 1, type 3 collagen peptides. And your body knows how to convert that peptide into the collagen that your body needs. It's in the brain. It's in our joints. It's in our muscle. It's in our tissue everywhere. And the collagen is only what, $70, I think? Something like that. I forget the prices. But anyway, you can get back with the person who invited you and they'll help you to get the right combination of components that's good for you. So if I filled in a little time there, give you a chance to ask some questions. I was answering some questions ahead of time in case some of those questions, those are frequently asked questions I just responded to there. So if there's any other question you have, now is your chance. If something was not clear, you can either raise your digital hand or you can just unmic yourself and start talking. Let's see here. Some of these people that had some of these incredible stories. There's one more I want to share with you as we wrap up our discussion. This is Martha Lawrence. Martha Lawrence, her brothers had diabetes and she had arthritis. And she just tells this amazing story about her health and her brothers, what she observed in them. Okay.
Good evening. I just wanted to comment and say that I've been on the Micro Daily now since about April. And yes, my A1C, I was considered pre-diabetic, and my A1C has dropped tremendously. And also my brother in Virginia, he's diabetic very bad. He takes the insulin and 10 other medications. And what I did, I sent him 4 bottles of Micro Daily, and I told him to take it 2 times a day. And he's been taking it now for about the last, I guess, 6 weeks. Well, anyway, another brother of mine called and asked me, "What did you send Robert Van?" So I told him some supplements, Micro Daily. He says, he looks good. He says before he was like dying right before our eyes. His skin was dried out. He was just looked so unhealthy, and he had lost so much weight. He says now he's like a flower that was dying and was watered, and he has come back to life. So even Robert Van told me, he called and he says, "I feel better." He says, "I'm picking up weight." He says, "And I have an overall feeling of healthiness." But anyway, I told him not to stop taking his medications, to wait until he go and, to see his doctor, take his blood work and let the doctor take him off of his medications. So far, so good. He's doing much, much better. And I just wanted to let you know that Micro Daily did it.
Very good. Thank you very much for sharing that story with us, Martha. And I'm sure
that's fabulous.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. Now, before you leave, Martha, I think you held back, and there's a couple of other benefits that you personally have experienced from Micro Daily. Would you mind sharing the rest of your story?
Well, for me, I was having a lot of problems with allergies. I was allergic to foods such as eggs, peanut butter, dairy products, and they were giving me asthma-like symptoms. I would wheeze and so on. So when I started taking a Micro Daily, stop. And I found that I could eat eggs and peanut butter, but I didn't go overboard. I got good sense, But I can now eat the foods that I was allergic to. And it has also helped me with, I had arthritis really bad. I could not straighten out my fingers in the morning. My hands were so stiff. now I can actually move my fingers. And the first time it happened, I was like a little baby, seeing my hands for the first time. So it has really helped my stiffness in my body, where I'm not as stiff anymore. And I have a tendency, I do exercise, but my body gets very sore. But now I'm able, it just for some reason, my body doesn't get as sore as it used to. But I'm using a micro daily. So it has really helped me a lot.
Now, Martha Lawrence goes on to describe that she was spending hundreds of dollars every single month on supplements, and so she replaced all of that. She no longer had to spend outrageous sums of money on her supplements because Micro Daily replaced everything that she was wasting money on, and that's how she felt about it. So I strongly recommend that if your circumstance will allow for it, that you get started on the product right away, and don't hesitate. You'll be happy that you did, and you will not regret it one bit. Okay, so now before we wrap up, if you're in my group, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. Almost most of you are. Quite a few of you are in my group, and I apologize if you're not in my group for this announcement that I'm about to make, because it does not apply to you. But you can feel free to go in and speak to any of your legacy upline about whether or not they would have put something in place that might be comparable. But I have no control over that. If you're in my group, I've got a little announcement here that I'm going to make. I got to look it up because I'm going to send it out to you guys, and you'll see it for yourself instead of trying to remember what I'm telling you. And then, things kind of get mixed up and get confused. And once it gets confused, you're going to say, yeah, but you said this and you said that. No, I didn't. I'm going to send it to you exactly what I said. And here it is. Hold on, I'm looking for it right now. I know where it is. I had to send it to Anna to make sure Anna knew about it. Because Anna, you guys are going to get to know Anna really well. We're going to be doing some free sample credits. Now, I'm Jones Global. This is Jonathan Jones. Free sample credit for new customers for the rest of this month. So, you get yourself a new preferred customer between now and the end of the month. And I'm going to be giving you free 4 sample credits, just like the old days. In other words, for every new preferred customer you get right now to the end of the month, 4 free sample credits. That means that Anna will send out a sample to 4 customers in your behalf at no cost to you. 4 free sample credits. And preferred customer or affiliate with a subscription. And they've got to have a subscription in excess of $125, $110. I don't care what it is. It's got to be in excess of $110. That's at least the basic number, 109. That's the minimum. And you get the 4 free sample credits. In addition, but wait, there's more. The person who gets the most between now and the end of the month is going to get $50 rebate credit towards shipping. Does that make sense? $50 rebate credit towards shipping of your product. So you're going to get a rebate on shipping of your product in the amount of $50. Whoever gets the most. So the clock is ticking. It's starts today, continue the month, get moving. Send your proof of whatever it is that you order. Don't call me. Please don't call me. Don't text me. Don't WhatsApp me. This is between you and Anna only. So you send the information to Anna. Anna is Anna at jonathanejones.com. That's how you can email her. Anna at jonathanejones.com. Or you can text her at 754-300-8909. 754-300-8909. That's my Google number. Anna, and I'm answering. So I'm not giving away anybody's personal information. That's my personal. All right, so she does that, she'll take care of it. She'll keep track of your credits, and she'll keep track of where your sample gets sent out. Okay? You got now to the end of the month. Get busy, folks. We'll see you on Thursday night. If you're in my group, we're doing training on Thursday night. Talk about network marketing this coming Thursday. If you want to be a network marketer, if you learn how to generate passive income, I know a little something about it. I've created six-figure incomes twice with a company, so, and I can't teach you what to do. And that's what we're talking about on Thursday. On Friday, if I'm not dead from moving, that's going to be a support night. It's going to be helping you close. Customers, your affiliates. Bring them on Friday night. Three-way calls, whatever we need to do. We'll have to close them out. Okay? Let's do this. Have a good night, everybody.
Okay, good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good
Jonathan.
night.
Thank you, guys.
Nice to see you, Judy Ann.
Thank you.
Cherie. I appreciate your mom.